Let's go. We're back. Christmas is over. It's time. Yes, it's lunch. No, it's not lunch, but we're doing a special edition of the Recap Lunch Hour with me, Ryan McGuffey, and my guy. Look at him. It looks like he's there he is, David Kaplan.
Right here, kid.
We're back. Christmas is in the rear view. You and I are very similarly programmed in terms of we get a couple days off and we start shaking. And we start looking around going, we got content to take care of. We got stuff to do. The Bulls play tonight. We pushed back the lunch hour today for so you and I could get together tonight and do this, a special edition of the Recap Lunch Hour with me and you as we preview what is shockingly, it doesn't feel like it, but in some ways I'm so thankful that it is the final home game of the season tonight for the Chicago Bears. It's hard to believe. It feels like it went by in the blink of an eye, and it also feels like this has been 3 seasons in one. The Bears host the Seattle Seahawks tonight. They are currently, because this thing's been moving and shaking all over the place, just so we're up to date, it's 4.5. The Bears are getting 4.5 at home. Cap, good to see you, buddy. Happy holidays. I know you've had a great Christmas with your family. Happy Hanukkah. And your early impressions, well, not early impressions, your impressions of tonight's game against the Seattle Seahawks.
I actually expect the Bears to play really well tonight. I'm not telling you they're going to go out and thump Seattle, who's playing for their lives. But I do expect them to compete. I expect Caleb to have a good game. I don't think it's a great Seattle team. And I think on a short week, Chicago plus the points sounds like the right play for me. I expect Caleb Williams to have a really strong game tonight. The weather should not be a factor. So gorgeous. I'm excited to see what happens.
Broski Bear, Cap Guff, how we doing? We're good. What a painful season. You ain't kidding. The only thing I've enjoyed is Caleb's progress. You said you expected Caleb to play well. You and I, Cap, are both on the same side of the ledger on this one. Like, I know when you look at those numbers on screen, the only thing that stands out to me is the 62.2%. That's got to be better. We know that, especially in this NFL. You have to be completing about 67 to 69% of your passes. But look at those other 3 numbers. This season sucks, okay? Every which way it's gone wrong, it has. And somehow this kid has thrown for over 3,000 yards while getting sacked over 60 times. He doesn't turn the football over. I know he's been credited with 3 or 4 fumbles in the last 3 to 4 games, one of which I know for a fact they gave him credit for, but that was on Roma Dunze on the jet sweep.
No question.
19 touchdowns, 5 picks. I know we talk about Caleb holding on to the football too long. Some of the sacks were on him. No one's going to question that. The kid's seeing ghosts out there at times. The fact that he's thrown this kind of season up and what, quite frankly, every excuse you could make for a kid to fail because of coaching, because of offensive line play, because of guys regressing instead of progressing. You and I are both on the same page here. This kid is going to be the biggest superstar in Chicago sports in the next 5 years.
Completely agree with you. And the people that, I say this with a bit of a wink, like I don't mean to come off that I'm firing on people, but I kind of am, because tell me you don't know anything about football without telling me you don't know anything about football. If you look at Caleb Williams and don't think this kid has all the tools to be a hell of a quarterback in the National Football League. But unless the Chicago Bears are going to go out and make a move and get a coach and a staff, regardless of cost, regardless of does he curse in the locker room, regardless of any of it, if you get the right people in here, I think they'll get everything you want out of Caleb and a whole lot more.
Yeah, we certainly, I mean, if this is what you're getting out of Caleb, and with this type of coaching staff where you've had guys in and out of the building, he's had multiple guys calling plays for him this year, who knows what could happen with actual coaching. I mean, I know we have Pete Carroll. It's showing interest. By the way, for people who scoff at that, I don't care. I think that's fantastic. To me, he has interest. Bring him in. Pick his brain. Even if you don't.
Would you hire him?
If I feel like he was fit and capable, you're damn right I would.
I would not.
Why?
Because I need a long-term plan, not a 73-year-old guy. Sorry.
You're the same guy who said you would bring in Bill Belichick. What are you talking about?
For an interview. I talked to them and picked their brain. I'm not.
But I just told you I'm bringing in Pete Carroll at least to pick his brain.
That's fine, but I am not hiring them.
Keep it here for a second. Eric, Cap, and Guff, hope you guys are well. Look at our track record of head coaches we have had with no head coaching experience since 2011. I think Ben Johnson might be a mistake, but I'm not sure. Eric, I feel the same way.
Don't forget about John Fox in there, kid.
Yeah, I know, but John Fox was brought in here. He was the outlier, but brought in here to fail. I mean, they were drafting guys without even letting him know that he had no shot. So, fine, we could put John Fox in there. I'm with Eric on this. Like, I love the idea of Ben Johnson, Cap. I also have PTSD from what we've seen in the last 15 years in this town. I am. Like,
fair.
I don't know if Ben Johnson is going to be a great head coach. I know he can call plays. That I 100% know he can call plays. Okay, that no one's going to debate that. Clyde, what do the Bears have to do to win tonight and get either Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson as head coach? I don't think those go hand in hand. Do you, Cap? Tonight has nothing to do with Mike Vrabel or Ben Johnson being the head coach of this football team.
Correct, because look, I think they're going to talk to both those guys. I think they're going to interview both those guys. Maybe they sit down with Pete Carroll, and I'm not telling you that would be a stupid thing to do. I'm just not hiring a 73-year-old head coach. I'm not.
I hear you, okay? I hear you. I want to know what Pete Carroll's coaching staff looks like today. Is it some innovative, like, young hotshot game caller that's, like, coaching waiting?
Well, who did he have for all those years? Shane Waldron.
Well, I understand that. But you know what? That ship is – I'm bringing in the guy. I'm definitely bringing in the guy for sure. What's up, Eli? Dylan, your Bears suck. Our Bears suck, pal. That's just the way it is. We know that. Brandon, can we please score in the first drive? You know what, Cap? I would love for odds on that. The Bears to score in their first. If you were making odds, I'm going to try to find it. I don't think we're going to find that. But if you were making odds,
plus 1150, 1170.
Actually, I got it right here. I found it.
What is it?
You're way off. First drive result, offensive touchdown, plus 420.
That's all.
That's all. Punt. Hey, a punt is minus 125. Why are we not betting that?
Yeah.
Actually, we'll talk. Cap and I are going to talk. We have our recap bets of the day coming up later in the show. I don't want to you never talk about the heater you're on, but my record is much more respectable as of late on this fine program because it was getting ugly there for a while. Broski says, hang on, Katie. Broski says, with all due respect, the Bears are getting spanked tonight. They're just lacking in the trenches too much. Seattle has something to play for. I know, Cap, some of the sharps and yourself are liking the idea of the Bears tonight, but that's been the consistency lately. The Bears last week were a big sharp play. I'm in the what have the Bears shown to me in recent weeks that has said, yeah, I'm backing them. I'm taking the points. Seriously, I'm asking you because while I know that Seattle's not a really good football team and Geno Smith can turn the football over, they're still going to get to the Seahawks are still going to get to the quarterback tonight. Caleb likely won't be throwing the ball all over the place to the Seattle defense, but the Bears aren't going to run up and down the field on the Seattle Seahawks.
Will we get that W flag that my friend Sean Keneally made for me? Do we get that lit up tonight with a W for the Bear?
I got that exact same one. I got two things right now. I got the W flag flipped upside down to represent McGuffey.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, I have Sean Keneally's kid in my basement right now. So I'm one up on you on that one. David, go Seahawks tonight. What are you doing? Unless you're from Seattle, we can't Cap and we're on the same page here. The Bears suck and it's been frustrating, but we're not going to sit here and go Seattle. David, unless you're from Seattle or you have some major money on a parlay on this thing, that's tough. But we're happy that you're happy. We're happy that you're here, Broski. Rookie record attempts. Yeah, exactly. It's over 300 and counting. The kid has a shot at the all-time record. If he can get through these two games, it would carry into the 2025 season with the all-time record, which I believe is it Aaron Rodgers? It's over 400. I know that. So
all-time record for consecutive pass attempts
without an interception
in the same season or adjoining seasons.
All time. Just it can carry over. Tim, yes, Cap was in the sauna. I'm thankful that he's out now because his connection is certainly more stable. I was getting a little nervous.
My connection wasn't bad in there.
Oh, for you, Katie. Look, Katie's in the background. I see her. She's
the light. It's just the light wasn't very good in there.
I think the temperature was clouding your judgment. Hire Cap as the new GM for the Chicago Bears, says Young Soo.
Thank you, Young Soo.
Also a friend of
Nancy. Love Young Soo. He's great.
Mm-hmm. The book is going to go broke tonight, Brandon says. Oh, because so Brandon's the only way the book goes broke tonight, Cap. Explain that. That would be if the favorite wins, correct?
If the favorite wins tonight, I think Vegas would like the Bears to cover.
Oh, they would love the Bears to cover. Caleb Williams is long term. We need a head coach for the long term. I get it. I get it.
402 is the amount of consecutive passes
by who?
Aaron Rodgers, my guy.
Thank you so much. I just like to know that I had that stat burned into my brain like the back of my head. All right.
And
Bobby.
Right now, Caleb Williams is at
306 or something like that.
He is 326.
So he's not going to get it this year. We don't want him throwing the ball 50 times in the last 2 games. So he's not going to get it this year. Let's hope that it continues. But okay, this question makes I'm shaking my head a little bit. Would you rather have Caleb have 10 more touchdowns and 4 more interceptions, or the same stats? I don't know. Would you rather have Caleb? So basically,
4 more interceptions or the same stats.
Here's why I'm confused. The question: how many more wins do we have? Like, is it the exact?
I don't want to win either of these games.
Me either. But I'm talking like this right here. So Caleb would have 29 touchdowns and 9 picks. I love everything about that. However, we don't know if the results change. If it's 29 and 9 and there's still this 4 and 11, I mean, now you're just padding. I would love him to have more touchdown passes because that would mean the Bears are scoring a lot more points. It's just, if you tell me that 10 touchdowns equal 3 more wins.
Cool. Again, I don't want them to win because I want the higher pick, but it would be cool if he went out tonight and threw for, 345 and 4 touchdowns.
Me too. Look, it's all about 18. Eric, he says, honestly, he gives Pete Carroll an interview, see what happens. If he gets hired, give him 2 to 3 year deal, go from there to think outside the box regarding coaching search. This is the Cap's point now. Like, I like the idea of bringing in Pete Carroll to pick his brain. Maybe you even give him some kind of like John Fox role, Cap. Listen, hear me out here. Where John Fox is the assistant defensive head, the assistant defensive coach. That's what his title is on the Detroit Lions. He is on the sideline, roaming up and down that thing. And when guys come off the field, he's in their face telling them, boom, 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 here's your iPad, etc. If you're telling me you can give Pete Carroll that type of role and you're not worried he's going to puncture what's going on with the new head coach, and it's more of like a bench coach in baseball. This guy has no interest in being the manager, but he's there for a resource. Oh, baby. Now that's different. I don't think that that's the case here. But if you gave him a John Fox type role next year, I don't know what your take is on that, but I think that's intriguing to me because this guy knows culture as good as any person in the game.
Let me ask you a question. What if you brought him in as president of football operations and he works with Ryan Poles?
So now you're telling me Kevin Warren's now you're bringing in another guy below. I just don't know if
Kevin's got the business side. He's Crane Kenny.
Can the ego in that building handle that?
Probably not.
Okay. I like the idea of, I just thought about this as we're sitting here.
Assistant head coach, Pete Carroll.
Assistant head coach, but you're telling him, Pete, you want to be back on the sideline? We're your guy. It is Ben Johnson's role. It's Joe Brady's the head coach of this football team, and you're there for him as a 24/7 resource. I think that I don't see that happening, Cap, because I just mentioned ego. Pete Carroll's going to point to his resume and go, I don't need to be anybody's assistant head coach. Philip, Bears upper management needs to reset the GM at all coaching positions. This vicious cycle every 3 years needs to come to an end. No one's going to disagree with you. It's going to be really what's your take on this, Cap? I mean, where do you reside? We know, Ryan's your guy. I'm a fan of Ryan Poles. I'd give him another run. I would extend him to match up with the new head football coach. I don't know where you stand on this right now.
But if you do that, you're giving Ryan Poles, I don't know what he's got left. 1 year, 2 years. You're going to have him for the next 5.
Okay.
I'm cool with that because I trust what he does, but you can't dispute the fact there have been some really bad mistakes.
Very bad. So then I'd fire him.
Wow. And then that means
here. But what makes me nervous about that is now you have a GM coming in here, and while Caleb is the most attractive part of the job, he's also not that GM's pick at quarterback.
that's one. The other thing that would be concerning is, and people who poo-poo it don't understand how the league works. That means your cap guy probably leaves. Your strength people probably leave. Like everything changes because the GM wants his own personnel. It's not just a head coach. It's a whole new staff. It's a whole new set of scouts. It's a new assistant GM. It's a new training staff, probably. It's a new strength staff. He may make a change in the medical department. He changes the way the nutrition's done in the building for the players. Like, it is moving heaven and earth when you blow out a GM.
Which is why I would keep Ryan. I mean, I look at, and you know where I look at New York with Joe Shane and Brian Daboll. New York, not only did Brian Daboll win Coach of the Year in year one, they were ready to roll out a parade for those guys already in year one. Like, this guy came in a 4-12 team. They were 9-8, won a road playoff game. And the problem with that was they got caught in their own trap. They had no interest when they took that job. The first thing they did was decline Daniel Jones' 5th-year option. And what's he do? He goes out and has a career year. He wins a road playoff football game, and the coach is Coach of the Year, and they got trapped. What they should have done, they shouldn't have fallen for the bait. They should have been able to say, Daniel, we appreciate your time. It didn't work out. We love the playoff win, and you move on. But they signed him, and they trapped themselves into 2 years of purgatory, and that 2 years of purgatory has turned them into the worst team in football, and it may cost both of them their jobs. And it's because they fell for the stinking bait. And that's the way I get nervous about flipping this whole thing over. To your point, you blow it all out again, and you blow out the entire building, as you said. It might take 2 to 3 years for you to see why you hired the guy. And the problem is, this is, as you know, with the NFL, you don't have 2 to 3 years to wait. You don't have 2 to 3 years to wait on Caleb Williams, and now he's in his 4th year putting up these numbers, and you're in jeopardy of losing him. That'd be insane. That's why as many people, and I could fall for the argument that re-signing Ryan Poles is insane because of all of the blind spots, especially on the offensive and defensive line. But the quarterback is right. And I don't care if people think Jaden would have went 1 or they would have taken Bo Nix. Look at their flipping. Look at the coaching in these guys. Look at the coach. I was just talking about this with my son. Look at the structure in Denver. Look at the structure in Washington. Look at the structure. The only structure that might not look the same is New England. Drake May's a pretty damn good football player. Like, that structure is a mess. But if it's all about number 18, and it means keeping Ryan Poles, then so be it. I mean, so be it. Like, that's where I go. Eddie, Cap, and they aren't firing a head coach based off of 2 results, firing a GM based off of 2 results. Mike says he's just catching up. Cap is nuts for not hiring Pete if he's still got the drive.
Okay, Mike, good luck to you with that take. Just let me know in like 3 years when Caleb is trying to get a $500 million or more contract, and that's what it would cost if he's good. And you go, yeah, Pete's 76 now and he's retiring. We're changing again?
No. You're only bringing Pete on if you have some kind of elite superstructure where you're hiring like coach in waiting type situation. The problem is with that, the Bears have never been there. There's no such thing as
can't identify one coach. You want to identify 2?
Right. And we've had this conversation, Cap. When people get freaked out, they're like, what happens if our OC leaves in 2 years? You know what? This organization, no OC is ever wanted by another organization. If the Bears were to lose an offensive coordinator because he's the next hot shot and he has to jump and get a head coaching job, oh my God, please let that happen. Please let that happen, because it means the first time in 50 flipping years they got it right. And that's what it means, that it's going so well here that they got it right.
Fair.
Hey, I wanted to read this.
Fair.
They think Brian says George should sit on the sideline with the Bears tonight. And if they lose, they escort him right out of the stadium. Don't let him back in the offices. Bye-bye. And if Poles wants to go with him, he can go too. Brian, if it was that easy with ownership, we would have driven all of them out of town by now.
We'd have a car filled with Jerry and George and the McCaskey family. Gone.
Yeah, everybody. So Mike's going back to Pete Carroll is exactly what we're begging for. He'll build a culture quick, and then just know a prerequisite is to discuss a succession plan. We need Mike, look, I'm more on your side than Cap is because he is as good of a culture guy as there is. Okay. Clyde says Pete's not long-term. Vrabel or Johnson is. Clyde, we don't know that. We hope that.
In this town, they could be firing those dudes in 3 years.
100%. It would be okay. So there's been this group, not just here, but also Cap in the Feldco Football Recap live show. Like Kenny, it'd be nice to see how Bagent would do with these receivers. Let me tell you something. I love Tyson Bagent. I think Tyson Bagent will be in the NFL for 8 to 10 years. I really do. This kid's going to be a backup and probably at some point become somebody's bridge quarterback as a starter. I really believe that. But if you think the receivers are going to play any better with a guy who has lesser talent than the kid who went 1-1, that goes back to Cap saying, tell me you know football without what does it? Tell me you watch football without watching football?
Tell me you know anything about football without telling me you know nothing about football. No, tell me you know nothing about football without telling me you know nothing about football.
Tell me how Tyson Bagent's going to make these receivers do something different. He's going to go out and all of a sudden throw for 340. I like Tyson. Cap.
By the way, Caleb's done that.
He did it last week.
Caleb's thrown for more 300-yard games in his first 11. What are we at? 15. In his first 15 games that Justin Fields did in 3 years.
Yep. But there's still people in these chats that love talk about Justin. He can't even win the starting job, and he lost a starting job for a playoff team. Eli says it doesn't matter if we win these games because we're locked in at 10, can't pick lower than 10. And he's right. I mean, the draft position, this is not like you go from 1 to 5 or anything. Eli is right here. The wins actually, it's not a big deal in terms of draft structure. Sean, why are we bringing up Jaden Daniels? Rookie of the year is a wrap. I brought up Jaden Daniels because it doesn't matter rookie of the year. At this point, Caleb's going to go 4-13. He's not winning rookie of the year based off of that alone. The rookie of the year is not just Jaden Daniels is going to the playoffs as a rookie. That's a rookie of the year. It's just a done deal. He's had multiple comeback wins. I'll bring up Jaden Daniels all day long. There's guys who are evaluators of football that have spent a lifetime in the game would redo the draft, and who would go 1-1, Cap?
Caleb Williams goes 1-1.
If you guys
Tommy
don't
Waddle
like it,
just came out and said, if I'm redrafting, I take Caleb number 1.
So there you go. People don't want to believe it, but it's just a fact. Sean says just beat the Packers. Brian says absolutely. I mean, I would co-sign for that next weekend for sure. Tyler's with Cap. Carroll's too old. It's a hard pass. If he was 63, yes, hire them, but he's 73 and would be the oldest coach in the league. Yeah, I think everyone's got a little PTSD a little bit from the Tony La Russa experience with the White Sox.
Look, if you told me that the Bears were this close and with the right cherry on top of the sundae, they could win the Super Bowl, all right, you want to take a shot? He's a good coach. Wouldn't be what I do, but I would. Dude, they're going to be 4-13.
Yep. And they're not close. From a talent-wise, ESPN ranked the 9 vacancies that they can predict this year. I don't know if you saw that this morning. I think they had the Bears as 3rd most attractive, and they give the pros and cons. And the cons is elite talent for the Bears. Elite talent is a con because they don't have any in the place you need it most up front. They have none on either side of the football. And they mentioned Montez Sweat, that he got paid like an elite pass rusher, and he's completely flopped. So they have nobody up front on the defensive side. They have clearly the only guy that's worthy of a starting job next year on the offensive line at all is Darnell Wright.
Correct.
That's it. So you got to change out all 4 guys, both in the draft and free agency. I like David's scenario tonight. Bears play very well, lose on a last-second field goal, but Caleb goes for 325 and 3.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
David must know my bet of the night, which is coming up. Swayze, I don't trust what he does. Team building has been horrible. Can't bring the guy back. He's talking about Ryan Poles. And look, I think there's a very valid argument, Swayze, for that. I really do. I think that's why I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think there's a 50-50 chance Ryan Poles makes it. I do. I don't, because I think I can be persuaded he should be fired, and I could be persuaded he should be re-signed. I really can. or extended, not re-signed, extended. I can. So Wayne's ready for a young offensive coach. Oops, I gave my pick away. We've had the young offensive coach, but
You know who Olin Kreutz told me he likes? Arthur Smith, the OC in Pittsburgh. He watched film of his offenses. He said, Cap, I watched the film. The film does not lie. He likes him.
Go back and read about what the Falcons were saying about Arthur Smith last year at the end of the year.
And who did he have at quarterback? Desmond Ridder.
Go back and read what the players were saying about him as a leader the last 5 or 6 weeks of the year. It's available. It's out there.
I'm going to
find out.
One of the players says he's the best coach he's ever played for.
Well, there's always going to be a group that loves a head coach, no matter what. There's going to be a group that loved Matt Eberflus, 100%. Brandon wants to know if Ben Johnson gives you KOC vibes. Kevin O'Connell, you jump on the opportunity if he brings Randall L as OC, Deuce Staley as run game coordinator, Leslie Frazier as DC. Do you think that, let me ask you a question, Cap. Do you think Ben Johnson gets that autonomy to bring that much of the staff? I mean, technically it's a promotion for all three of those guys, right? Leslie Frazier, I believe, is the assistant head coach right now in Detroit. So I don't know if he jumps. I know he's a former Bear. But the other guys, do they come with? It's interesting. Does Randall L? I love Randall L. That's what's funny. I love all the former players that are on the staff.
That's what I love.
Yep, it's one of my favorite things. It's look at the guys who are coaching these position players. These guys are all 8 to 10 year veterans. A lot of them as Pro Bowlers. So it's something I would like to see the Bears replicate. Randall, a couple more minutes here, guys, as we get closer to kickoff here in a few hours. Randall, Happy New Year, Guff and Cap. We deserve so much better in Chicago with our sports best fans in the country. Happy New Year to you as well. Scott, Shea was saying this morning that Coach Carroll's too old for the league. What the hell does Shea know? Seriously, Shea's out there saying he's too old for the league. I'm sorry. I'm being honest. And Shea, come where you at, man? It's a young man's game these days. How's Andy Reid doing? I'm just asking a question. How's Andy Reid at 15-1 and back-to-back Super Bowls doing? He's doing just fine. So that young man's game, unless you want Matt Nagy, is Matt Nagy calling the plays? Come on, be realistic. Shea, it's a young man's game. Dan Campbell is a different type of head coach. He's an accountability guy. Yeah, you can look in the division. We can go up and down the division and see O'Connell. We can name all of the young man's games. How's Sean Payton doing, Cap?
Yeah, let me look.
How's Mike Tomlin doing? Mike Tomlin's not a young man.
Hey, Siri, how old is Sean Payton?
Sean Payton's 65 years old.
60.
Okay, 60 years old. Mike Tomlin's
51 next week.
Mike Tomlin's 58, right? So,
hey, Siri, how old is Mike Tomlin?
Oh my God, we're asking Siri live on the air questions I can.
Mike Tomlin, 52.
Okay, so I don't know what we're dictating here is young man's game.
Hey, Siri, how old is Andy Reid?
Katie's got to be losing her stuff.
Andy Reid will turn 67 in March.
Yeah, John Harbaugh, another guy over 50 years old. So I'm just saying, how about Jim Harbaugh? I'm giving you guys
60.
I'm going through half the league right now that's in the playoffs, and they're over 50 years old. So tell me, is that a young man's game? Is Dan Quinn a young man? I know Shea's not on here, and I'm just kind of throwing him under the bus, but I'm just telling you, to me, young man means less than 50. Dan Quinn's 54. More than half of the coaches going to the playoffs this season are over 50 years old.
McCarthy?
Well, he's not going to the playoffs. I'm just giving you playoff names. So is Dan Campbell 50? He's not 50. He's in his 40s, right?
Dan Campbell's got to be. Hey, Siri, how old is Dan Campbell of the Lions?
This is amazing. Hey, Siri. Yeah, guys, there are so many comments.
Dan Campbell is born in April of 76.
Yeah, so he's in his 40s.
48.
There's big difference between 60 and 73. Not when we're talking young man's game, broski. I'm just saying, guys, I don't think Pete Carroll's getting this job. I don't. But please stop telling me. What if I can guarantee? We can't guarantee you. But if Pete Carroll signs a 3-year deals and the Bears are in the playoffs in 2 of them, you in?
Wow. But what am I accomplishing with that?
Well, you got to get in the playoffs, don't you?
Correct. But all of a sudden at
I don't know.
76, he says, I'm done. I'm out.
Well, but he set you up, though. His staff is locked in.
But what does that mean?
Cap, they haven't won a playoff game since what?
2011.
Okay. I just gave you a scenario where the head football coach is taking you to back-to-back playoff appearances in years 2 and 3.
Matt Nagy did that in years 1 and 2.
Well, that's why Dr. Professor is worried that Ben Johnson's going to be like Nagy. Bear wants to know, how could Ryan not make it? He trades the number 1 pick for a bunch of picks, got the best player the team had, which was DJ Moore. Then the following year, get the number. Yeah, and Bear, I do think the way he set up this Bears team with the way he traded those number 1 picks, the number 1 pick to get Caleb Williams, to me, from a trade standpoint, I think Ryan's knocked it out of the park. I do. He's messed up Chase Claypool. Okay. He's messed up some of the trade ups in the draft for Velus Jones.
He didn't trade up for him, but he drafted him. That's a bad thing.
Fine. Who did he trade up for this year? Amagaji?
No, he traded back into the draft to get Austin Booker.
Okay. So look, I think from trading, this is fun, lads.
Marv Levy is still around. Wait a minute. Hey, Siri.
I think he's 99.
I'm going to say 91. Hey,
no,
Siri,
99.
How old is Marv Levy?
Dude, he's 99 years old.
Marv Levy celebrates 99th birthday.
If the Giants fired Dable, the Bears consider. I agree. By the way, I think Brian Dable's a good football coach. He's had not great talent. So if Brian Dable's out there, you got to bring him in. You got to bring him in. You got to bring him in. I do not agree with this whatsoever. John Fox, I really don't agree with that. I think Pete Carroll's a much better football coach than John Fox.
Okay.
And yes, Pablo, Marv Levy is from Chicago. All right, Cap, before we go here, there's so many
Katie
comments.
Langan firing. Got to make sure that W flag still lights up, Cap. It's been a while.
Ooh, that's a good damn joke.
It is.
Katie Langan. All right, Caps. Here's my bet of the day. On a little bit of a run here, kid. I texted you some props yesterday that all hit. That was not. We can't count those though. No, they weren't actually public, so I did not make those public. We are 4-1 our last 5 here. I'm going DeAndre Swift over 14.5 receiving yards tonight, Cap. I told you I like Caleb over 216, but this one's kind of there for the taking. The way the bubble screen's been used the last couple of weeks in this offense, the way the screen game in general has been used, I just feel like this could be first drive type material. One for the like it could be 3rd and 18, and they get one out to DeAndre in the flat. He goes for 16, and it's 4th and 2, and it's a punt, and you're cashing this thing. I like DeAndre Swift. I'm pulling up his game log right now. But what is somebody asked earlier, I saw somebody put in the chat that they want to put a parlay together, and they were looking for our bets tonight. So I'm going DeAndre Swift over.
I am going with Caleb Williams over 20 completions.
You're going
20
Caleb
or more completions.
20 or more completions. Okay, so 20 or
I
more.
also do like him over the yardage, the prop
216.5. I do too. I like over 216.5 a lot. The way they've been
I saw
playing.
it at 214.5, but right in there.
I also like over 1.5 touchdowns is plus 144. I think that's worth flirting with. So Cap and I will probably put a little recap parlay together. But one thing's for certain for me, like I'm giving you, I'm going to give you the breakdown. The breakdown for me here with DeAndre Swift. Here's his last, let's say 6 to 8 games. 33 yards receiving, 10 and 2, but 35, 35, 13, 6, 31. So there's some misses in there. I just see like what I've seen lately. Just to me, I'm gonna go over the 14.5 at minus 105. You're on Caleb Williams, 20 completions. We both like over 216.5. That alone, I'm gonna throw the 2 touchdowns in there too and see if we can't make some money tonight, kid.
Now let's do it. Let's put something together, kid.
All right, Scott.
4,000 passing yards.
I mean, He has 2 300-yard games, and then he becomes up a little shy. He needs.
If he throws up a monster tonight, like a 355, 360, which he's done already. He had a 363. He's going to have a shot, and to do it at Green Bay would be sick.
He needs 759 to go over 4,000. I don't think he hits that, but stranger things have happened. Everyone's all over. Like, I'm getting multiple Charbonnet over rushing yards. There's some people who like that. So huge Komet game. I can't co-sign for that, Matthew. I can't.
Yeah, me either. Why do you think that, Matthew?
Yeah. I mean, this is how much the Vegas thinks about Cole Kmet right now. His total is 17.5. 17.5. So
that is brutal.
Scott, you too. Cap, my friend, my man. I can't wait to see you again. Can't wait to see you again.
In the office tomorrow, kid.
Let's do it. Let's do it. It's been the recap lunch hour with me, Ryan McGuffey. Special edition with At the Cap Man from the recap. Chicago Bears, their final home game tonight. It's crazy. Their final home game tonight. Cap, before we go, prediction.
I think the Seattle Seahawks are going to beat the Chicago Bears 24-21.
Oh, that's my prediction too. 24-21. I'll take 24-20 just to be a little different. That means we both have the Bears covering, but I do have the over. That'd be 40. I think the over's 40. The total's 42. That would put this game just over the over. Someone earlier said they think the Bears lose on a last-second field goal. That kind of falls right in line with Cap's 24-21 with Caleb going for 325 and 3. For David Kaplan, I am Ryan McGuffey. For Katie Langen, who's behind the scenes, this has been a special edition of the Recap Lunch Hour with the Cap Man and me, Guff. We will see you guys tomorrow. And make sure after the game goes final, as soon as the game goes final, Cap will have a recap of this game. The Bulls also tip off in an hour. So there'll be a recap of the Bulls game at Atlanta tonight. And as the Bears game goes final from Soldier Field, Cap will have all of that.
Yeah, special guest producer of the recap tonight after the Bears game.
Who's that? Oh, just cold cocked her right into the actual broadcast. Are you talking about Katie, Cap?
No, Mindy Kaplan's coming to the studio tonight.
Oh, well, then where's Mindy? Where's Mindy?
Why am I pulled into this?
Sorry, I thought Katie was the super producer.
Yeah, can I go backstage?
All right, she's gone.
Great hat, by the way.
Really good hat. All right, Cap, love you, kid.
Love you, kid. Happy, healthy to everybody out there. We thank all of you for subscribing to our channel. Please click the little bell right there on the right so that you never miss an alert for any of the content we do. We'll have a Bulls recap tonight. We'll have a Bears recap tonight, and the Rush Hour is back again tomorrow.
Take that.